Hey guys, thank you for watching Careertainment, and today we will talk about breakout leaders and incremental leaders. Now, what is a breakout leader? Now, we see all around us there are so many corporations, businesses, sectors, and within them so many professional managers, entrepreneurs, owners. But at the end of the day, the world and all of us tend to remember only a handful of them. And why does the world remember these handful of managers or owners or leaders? It's because they have brought about transformational change by doing what they did. Either transformational change in society or in their enterprise or corporations or even in their functions. And these breakout leaders have become benchmarks for others to follow. Let's contrast that with incremental leaders. What are incremental leaders? Who is an incremental leader? An incremental leader is one who has been handed over the baton by his predecessor. He does a great job of pushing along the business plan or the sales graph and hands over the baton to his successor. And he's done a great job, and most leaders are good incremental leaders. But let's face it, all of us want to be remembered and want to be transformational breakout leaders. So how does one become one? Or how does one transform oneself from being an incremental leader to a breakout leader? Examples are so many to learn from, right? Across the world. In the modern world of technology, of course, the famous names, the Elon Musk and Stev Jobs and Bill Gates, there are so many. But why just the recent technology world? We've seen breakout leaders for over a century now, or at least in the context of modern business. We've seen Henry Ford at the beginning of the century transform the world of automobiles. Somewhere during the middle of the century, post-World War, we've seen Akio Morita create the Sony Corporation and change the face of electronics and the way the world perceived Japan. Or for that matter, that European entrepreneur Leonardo DelVicchio, who created the huge mammoth Essilor Luxxottica group. Now, these are all breakout leaders. And why all over the world? We can see them even in our own backyard, in our country. The public sector gives so many examples. I mean, Mr. Kurien, who led the dairy revolution and made us into a milk surplus country and created a phenomenal brand like Amul. Or the group of Dr. Bhabha or Satish Dhawan and Dr. Kalam, who created ISRO and revolutionized the space industry in our own country, which we are kind of seeing the benefits now. Or even Mr. Sreedharan, the metro man, the professional way in which he revolutionized the public transportation industry, or at least the metros, which is coming up in every city. These are all breakout leaders by the quality that they exhibit. And why just the public sector, even private sector? There is a pantheon of leadership or breakout leaders in, let's say, the Tata group. Mr. Sumant Moolgainkar, who looked at the automobile industry, or in the early days, Mr. Russy Mody, who transformed Tata Steel into a mammoth steel enterprise, or Mr. Desai, who created Titan, who foresaw what was going to happen in future, or Mr. Ajit Kerkar, who kind of reconfigured the entire hotel and hospitality industry. In fact, some give him the credit of creating Goa as a holiday destination, and of course the Taj Hotel brand. And why just the Tata Group? There are so many others in the private sector, even smaller companies. Bindeshwar Pathak of the Sulabh Group. Now that's a name which doesn't come normally to everybody's mind, but he's created a phenomenal enterprise. He's a breakout leader. Or even a Baba Ramdev, for example, creating a 6,000 crore enterprise from scratch. Or a Sridhar Vembu of Zoho Corporation. These are all breakout leaders. Or Dr. Ella, who's now famous for the Bharat Biotech. It couldn't have happened because the enterprise that he created has given us something that we can be proud of today globally. Now, there's a whole list of breakout leaders even in our country. Now, what goes into the making of a breakout leader or transitioning an incremental leader from to become into a breakout leader? Now, I've talked to many people and done my own research, and I thought there are 5 main qualities. The conventional wisdom, of course, is to excel. These people are very good at what they do and they excel at what they do. And even the environment is kind of conducive to making breakout leaders. But perhaps there's something much more. What are these 4 or 5 qualities? I can think of a couple. First, these guys, the breakout leaders, are inspired by something much larger than themselves. I can't think of an example better than Akio Morita's, for example. He was inspired. I mean, the company started by making rice cookers, but then he was inspired by making made in Japan as an icon, as an expression which was worldwide famous. And that's what inspired him. Or even back home, the Tatas, for example, they built the Taj Mahal Hotel because it was insulting that Indians were not allowed. So he said, hey, let me build something so grand and so beautiful this side of the world that it's a benchmark for the whole world to follow. And he created the Taj Mahal Hotel. So the inspiration came from something which was outside of business. So to be inspired by something much larger is probably the first quality. The second quality is the strength of conviction to go against the grain. These guys are so strong in their belief that they don't care about the opinions or research of others, but are very sure about what they're going to deliver to the world, which is going to transform society. I really don't think there's a better example than Steve Jobs. I mean, what could he have got an opinion about a new music device? Probably a tape with 3 or 4 spools or some additional spools. No, he just didn't bother. He had the strength of conviction to create a brand which will transform society, and indeed it did. It not just transformed the music industry, it transformed the camera industry, it transformed the telephone industry and everything. So the strength of conviction to go against the grain is the second quality. The third, which I researched, was self-respect. Not bordering on ego, but self-respect and high self-esteem, which then transitions into respect for others. And that leads to you being very open. These people I found are very, very open about ideas. And they're like sponges. They take ideas from all around them, and that's the hallmark of a breakout leader. So that's the third one, self-respect and self-esteem, and open to ideas. The fourth, at least I found, was that these guys are excellent at constraint mapping. They don't cry about their environment or what the environment has to offer. Whatever is available, they kind of make the environment conducive to enable them. They actually create an enabling atmosphere or environment around them. So constraint mapping is one of the 4 things. They don't cry about what the world has to give. They take what's given and make the best out of it. What better an example than ISRO? I'm sure many of us must have, kind of read the books of Dr. Kalam, and how the space revolution started by taking bits and pieces in a small little church in Kerala on cycle carriers. So they do excellent constraint mapping. And fifth, in my view, after talking so much to other people and leaders, is that these guys are very good at trend spotting. Either they are visionaries, they future-proof their businesses and trend spot what is going to be required in future. Look at Xerxes Desai. I mean, he saw what was happening to the watch industry and created a beautiful organization in Titan. He further saw how the jewelry industry was going to be transformed. So they're very good at trend spotting. Or a Sridhar Vembu, for example. He saw that the trend is going to be a distributed workforce. You could work for anywhere in the world and provide products and solutions and services everywhere. And he's built a beautiful organization, and he's driven by an inspiration far larger than his business. And he set up his operation in Tenkasi in Tamil Nadu. Now he's a breakout leader. So these are the 4 or 5 qualities which go into making a breakout leader. One, to be inspired by something much larger. Second, the strength of conviction to go against the grain of what is accepted around you. Third, a self-esteem and self-respect which transitions into respecting everybody else and the ideas that come from, and being a sponge to accept ideas. Fourth, constraint mapping, excellent constraint mapping and not cribbing about anything. And fifth, great at trend spotting and future forecasting. There are many of you will find that if you really go back into your organizations, there will be hidden gems, hidden business lines, hidden product lines, which could beat the trend going forward. But they are being neglected, and everybody is doing the ordinary and the conventional. But these breakout leaders will look at trend spotting and identify those little gems and little trends which will make a huge transformational difference to the society. So these are the 5 qualities which I think are the qualities of breakout leaders. Now, all of us aspire to be, and the fact is that if a few of them can become breakout leaders, I'm certain all of us can. You can. And it's not necessary that you become a breakout leader only as a business leader of a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. You could be a breakout leader in your own small way. If you're a sales manager, you could be a breakout leader in your sales team. In your construction project team, you could be a breakout project manager. You could be a breakout leader in any small domain that you are on. It's after all the smaller things that build you up into large. And who knows, tomorrow you will turn into, by doing these small breakout things in your own small areas, into great breakout leaders of the future. And I hope to meet all of you. And if you have knowledge of such breakout leaders who are hidden in every part of our country, I would love to know about them. Probably bring them over here to meet you guys on this channel. Thank you for watching, and I hope all of you transform yourselves from being incremental leaders into breakout leaders. Take care. Bye for now. Subscribe and share.